It's Friday and time to look back at what happened at Queen's Park and in Ontario politics. This week, the first item is the Financial Accountability Office report that came out recently. $10.3 billion of underspending compared to the planned spending here in Ontario. Was Premier Doug Ford doing everything possible to protect Ontarians during the pandemic? There's a raging debate over vaccine mandates and vaccination certificates. How much of a risk do we want to take in a fourth wave, and should we be using these tools? Ontario optometrists and OHIP covered services may stop on September the 1st. There's a simmering dispute over eye exam payments that will come to a boil on September the 1st. Keep watching if you want to find out more. Otherwise, please join me next week as I look back at what happened at Queen's Park. So the Financial Accountability Office put out a report on spending during the 2020-21 fiscal year. $10.3 billion of underspending compared to the budget. The unspent money was in health, education, social services, justice, and also in a large amount in a contingency fund. To be fair, year-end spending in government can be wasteful. Sometimes in government you find that you have some money left over and you try to spend it so that next year your budget doesn't get cut. And it's also not so surprising that with increases in program spending that there may be bottlenecks in the system and you don't spend all of the money. But Doug Ford did say on many occasions that he would spare no expense to help protect people and the economy. So maybe for Doug Ford that's a figure of speech, spare no expense, but he could have been spending more to help students and teachers prepare for the coming school year, or he could have been spending more to deal with homelessness and the housing affordability crisis that affects everyone. There's a debate over mandatory vaccinations and vaccination certificates. The question is, how do we protect people who, for example, go into a facility to seek medical services? Kids under 12 are unvaccinated when they return to school. They and some of their family members, for example, might be immunocompromised or otherwise vulnerable to COVID. Can businesses, hospitals with their backlogs, can students and teachers handle another lockdown? Seems like it would be the last straw. Public health is saying that a fourth wave of COVID, how much it affects us, it all depends on our vaccination rates. The Ontario Medical Association and the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario have called for mandatory vaccinations for healthcare workers. And different institutions are doing different things. So Seneca College here in Ontario, or going around the world, Princeton University in the United States are requiring students to be vaccinated. The Toronto University Health Network hospitals, the Veterans Administration hospitals in the United States are requiring vaccinations of their workers. Here in Ontario, Premier Doug Ford is opposed to mandatory vaccinations. Only Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca has said that non-vaccinated health and education workers should not be allowed to work on the front line. And this controversy continues and will only become, I think, more and more germane as we get into the back-to-school month in just a few weeks. Now, something that's been on the back burner, optometrists may stop doing OHIP covered services on September the 1st. I spoke earlier this year to a local representative of the optometrists, and the issue is that OHIP compensation for eye exams has only gone up 12% over the last 32 years, and that's clearly much less than the rate of inflation. The potential job action on September the 1st is to get the province to bump up compensation for eye exams to something that's closer to their actual cost. If you like these videos, please follow me on social media. Otherwise, tell me what you think in the comments below, And please join me next week as I look back at what happened at Queen's Park and in Ontario politics.